joining us today. My name is Linda McCarthy. I have the pleasure of serving as the director of the Missoula Downtown Partnership. We run 3 organizations out of our office: the Missoula Downtown Association, the Downtown Business Improvement District, and the Missoula Downtown Foundation. We are very fortunate to have one of our country's most amazing speakers here with us for a couple of days.
You don't know that.
I have wanted to bring Barbara to Missoula for about a decade. I first saw her speak, I can't remember if it was at a National Main Street Conference or an International Downtown Association Conference, but she's fabulous. And she was in Great Falls this week as the keynote guest for the Montana Economic Developers Association Conference, and spent a couple of days in Great Falls. Needless to say, she's happy to be here in Missoula. This is her 2nd visit to the Garden City. She was here quite some time ago working with the folks out at Southgate Mall. She has traveled the world giving workshops in business development, entrepreneurship, tourism development, customer service training. She's been a business owner herself. She's worked in tourism. She's got a lot of broad-based experience. We have 3 workshops today. This one this morning and a replication of that this afternoon. At 10 o'clock, we have created a distinct and powerful presence for your business. So she'll be talking a lot about marketing and partnerships and outreach. And then we also have a business luncheon tomorrow from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And she'll be talking about how the business world is changing. And for any of you who've been in business over the last 5 years, you realize it's changed quite dramatically. If you are registered for today, which clearly you are because you're here, tomorrow's luncheon only costs you $15. So if you want to come back tomorrow and listen to Barbara speak, please check in with one of us before you leave today so we have an appropriate head count, because I think you're going to enjoy what she has to say.
So we're going to
today.
start cooking.
We have folks here from all over the community. We have folks from Community Medical Center, Southgate Mall, downtown, some of our hotels in town. So we're really excited to have you here, and thank you for taking the time. Remember, you have coffee and treats in the back, restrooms across the hall, and with that, I'd like to turn it over to Barbara Wall.
Thank you for coming, Barbara. Thank you. 4 years ago, high school auditorium, I had 450 people in the room. I walked around the room like I did this morning to find out who all was there. I was speaking to the San Diego, California School District. Well, I had principals from all the schools, teachers, office staff, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, gardeners, everyone involved in the school district. So I got up there all ready to start, and I noticed there was a man in the back of the room I had not met. So I walked over and I said, "Good morning." I said, "My name is Barbara, and I don't believe I've met you." He said, "My name is Lou. I retire in September. I didn't want to come today, and girlie, don't you dare call on me." Well, you can already tell the way I gave my energy is through eye contact. I talk, I scan the room, I'd go right over to Lou. I thought, I'm not going to waste my time on this man, would you? No. After the program, I had people waiting in line to thank me for what they had gotten out of the program and how they were going to implement some of these things into their life. Who was in line but Lou? I said, "What are you doing in line?" He said, "I'm in line to give you a hug." He said, "You made my day." He said, "Knowing I was going to retire in September," he said, "I quit my job many years ago, but I showed up every day." And at that point, it made me realize how many people just show up. How many of you work with someone that just shows up? Pretty sad, isn't it? Yeah. I'm asked almost daily, how do I motivate myself? How do I motivate my staff? Well, who motivates you? Your family? Steve, who motivates you?
I like working with the teammates that I never work.
No? I do. Susie, right. You motivate yourself first, then you're motivated by your family and by your teammates, but you're the only one that can motivate yourself first. When you get up in the morning, you say, good morning, God, and you say, good God, morning. He's not telling us. Notice that. When we talk about customer service today, when we talk about what's going to wow a customer, you look at the competition anybody has today. The hotel industry, any competition? Yeah. What do you mean, no? Yes. With the shopping center, any competition? Yes. Everybody has competition. Any of the running stores here in Missoula?
Similar to, yep.
Yep.
Plus the internet.
Yep. Well, you can buy anything on the internet. All right. You can buy anything from Amazon now. Who knows that about the company in China that is just like Amazon? Anybody? Alibaba. You heard of Alibaba? Yes. And the same thing, except they don't carry the inventory like Amazon does. They ship it directly from the manufacturer. So it's a little bit different. The last 2 days, I have been in Great Falls speaking, as Linda said, for the Economic Development Council for the state of Montana. And the first thing I said to the group when I spoke with them on Tuesday is, if you take nothing else away today, take this away. You've got to take off your blinders. I was speaking up in Monterey, California, and spoke in the morning. In that evening, there was a little cocktail reception. So I was attending it, and I was working in the room. And a woman said to me, she said, Barbara, I've always thought I was very observant. She said, you told us this morning to take off those blinders and just be aware of what's going on around us. She said, this afternoon I walked around Old Monterey. She said, I saw things I never would have seen. So take off those blinders. I have examples from different type businesses, and you can take any one of those examples and tweak it so it might work for you. But that's the key today. It is amazing. When you think of a small business owner, they go into their business in the morning and they come out at night and go home. And they don't want to take anything home mentally with them because they're in retail, right? Yes. Doesn't work that way any longer. It's a little bit different today. So obviously, if you're going to wow your customer, it's going to take more than this, isn't it? How many businesses need a stack of these over the cash register? A lot, right? Yes, an awful lot, which is pretty sad. That's the sad thing. Any competition for any of you? Two men go into the woods, they meet a bear. The first one quickly takes out his backpack and throws on his tennis shoes. His friend looks at him and says, oh, come on. Do you really think you can outrun that bear? He said, I don't need to outrun the bear. I just need to outrun you. Correct? All right. I was in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and driving through Altoona, Pennsylvania on my way to State College, Pennsylvania for my next engagement. And I'm passing by a Hooters. Well, the cars are stopping, and it's not even lunchtime. They're stopping in the middle of the street to take a look. And I'm thinking, what is going on? And then as I got a little closer, I noticed that those Hooter girls were playing volleyball in the parking lot. And I thought, okay, is this marketing or is this recreation? I wasn't sure. And later found out, reading in the paper, that they had done a promotion with the sporting goods store next door. And I'm wondering, how many of those men that put on their brakes ended up having lunch there? And how many had dinner there as well? Who knows? But today, in order to stand out in the marketplace, you've got to do something a little bit different. Susie in Manhattan, Kansas. Manhattan, Kansas is 2 hours outside of Kansas City. And I did a program in the old firehouse. And it was a combination of the main street and the shopping center there. Forest City shopping centers built a brand new center there, hoping people would spew out on the main street and vice versa. They come back into the shopping center. Well, Susie came up to me after I did my presentation. She said, Barbara, she said, I have a store on Main Street. She said, Susie, it's a family-owned business, it's Missy Clothing, and she said, I can't compete with that mall because now there are 33 stores in that mall that carry similar the same merchandise. What do I do? And I said, Susie, how much do you spend on advertising? She said, $400 a month. I said, do you trust me with that? She goes, sure. Went to the local radio station, said to the disc jockey, what will you charge me if on Thursday you get on the air and announce 5 times between 1 and 1:30, everyone walking through the doors of Susie's Boutique would receive a brand new dollar bill. Because I'm not going to charge anything, sounds like too much fun. Go to the TV station, go to the newspaper. Thursday rolls around, 1 o'clock, disc jockey gets on the air and announces 5 times between 1 and 1:30, everyone walking through the door of Susie's Boutique would receive that complimentary dollar bill. Big deal, right? 550 people drove across town for a dollar bill. They saw the hordes of people out in front, they saw the TV cameras, and they wanted to see what was going on. Inside, Susie had a drawing where people could sign up for the drawing. Out of that list of 550 people, she whittled it down to 300 valid customers for her mailing list. Yes, we went $150 over budget. But if she had taken that $400 and placed a little ad in the paper every week, $100 ad in the paper every week, Susie's Boutique is the cutest things in town, and we take Visa and American Express, would she have done the business? No. So in order to stand out, in order to wow your customers, you've got to do something a little bit different today. You can't just show up at all. Last week, I was in Seattle. And I was in Seattle working with a travel agent consortium. And these were travel agents in the Chicago area in the Midwest. And we were staying at the Hyatt Grand, and everything was on the television. I ordered room service on the television, and then they had a little spotlight on the television that said, do you need anything? Did you forget anything? And I noticed on the desk there's a card, and it has 40 items that I could have forgotten. Deodorant, toothbrush, hairbrush, whatever. Baby oil, baby shampoo. I mean, the whole list. Over 40 items. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to try this. So I'm playing with my remote control, and I order a few things. Within 15 minutes, I have a gentleman at the door with a little bag with all my goodies in it. Most hotels, you forget a toothbrush, they've got one at the front desk that somebody left behind. I was totally, totally impressed. You know, that blew me away, and I'm going, wow. You know, what a difference. With all the hotels that I stay at, you know, I pay attention to how I'm treated. I pay attention everywhere. Let me tell you why I made a point of taking off your blinders. I started out working with the shopping center industry 30 years ago. And I had my very successful retail business, left that, started working with shopping centers worldwide, speaking for the merchants. I've spoken at Southgate. Then, seeing what was going on with the shopping center industry, switched over to main streets, downtowns that were going through revitalization. I also work with any type of a convention where the audience has to deal with a consumer, such as I spoke for Disney last November, Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company, and so on. I speak in China, I speak in Singapore, Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, I speak in India, I speak in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, I speak all over South America. So I see what is going on, and I gather all that information, and that's what you need to do also to wow your customers. First of all, before you even wow them, you've got to let them know how to get a hold of you, any way possible. You know, on your business card, some of you have business cards, some don't probably. But think about any business. You've got to give your customers every way of getting a hold of you. Here I was speaking at the Denver Merchandise Mart, and I was doing a program on marketing. And a woman came up to me afterwards, and she said, Barbara, she said, I'm DJ, and I have DJ's Boutique. She says, we're in a tourist area, it's fabulous, and what I give out is a little marketing tool. I give a nail file. A little nail file to all the ladies, they can tuck it in their purse. Great idea marketing-wise, isn't it? Yeah, so I get back to my hotel room and I look at the little, what's on the back of it, all of her information. DJ's Boutique, 124 Main. That was it. That was it. Well, people think that their world is just this little tiny circumference. Is it any longer?
No.
No, it's the entire world, isn't it? Yes. So it's area code, zip code, how to get a hold of you, if you have a website, email address, if you have a LinkedIn address, Facebook account, if you want that on there. Whatever you want on there has to be on there. I was in Kansas City, and I was speaking for all of the main streets in the state of Kansas, plus there were retailers as well in the group. And after the program, I had 3 girls come up to me and they said, Barbara, they said, we have just, well, she said, it's so exciting. She said, we've just opened up our little boutique, the Feathered Nest. She said, we're in Belleville, Kansas. And I said, how charming, Belleville's lovely. And she said, this is our marketing piece. And she hands me a card with their information on it. And I said, well, the color's a little weak. And then I looked a little closer at it. Susan, I'm going to give this to you. What if I wanted to get a hold of you?
You have to come between 7:30 and 6 p.m. on Monday through Friday.
Not even a phone number. This is our marketing piece. Not even a phone number. Gentleman, when I was in Great Falls, I just handed this to a gentleman and he said, well, you'd have to write him a letter. So it doesn't make any difference what type of business you're in. You've got to give your customers and potential customers all the information possible. Disney. How many of you have been to Disneyland? The original Disneyland in Anaheim? All right. The original Disneyland in Anaheim, the size of the park, every one of their team members is called a cast member. And everybody's responsible for customer service, to wow their customers. But if I were in the park and I had a question, who would I go to probably?
Sweeper.
The sweeper, right. The trash picker-upper. In the park in Anaheim, how many trash picker-uppers are there at any one time in the park? Come on, throw it out.
5?
500? 30? Actually, there are 8. There are only 8. You know what the training period is? 6 weeks to pick up trash. Where's our maintenance guy? 6 weeks. Were you trained for 6 weeks? Not quite. Why 6 weeks? Because if I'm in the park and I have a question, that's who I'm going to go to. They need to know everything there is to know about Disneyland. Everything. The parking lot attendant, their training is 8 weeks. Walt Disney once said, there's no magic to magic. It's all in the details. He could take simple little details and repeat them perfectly over and over, day in, day out, to create the magic we know in Disneyland. You look at where that's gone. Is he wowing his customers? Yes. Yes. Do you know that he had filed for bankruptcy twice before he opened Disneyland? He was fired from the newspaper he was working for because he wasn't creative enough. He tried to get Art Linkletter to go in with him and be a partner. Art Linkletter said, no, no. Walt Disney's wife said, Walt, don't open an amusement park. They're dirty, they're filthy. Well, he's changed it around, hasn't he? At night, when the park closes, 800 people come out into that park. They're maintenance, gardeners, painters, and so on. They all have helmets on with the spotlights. And they get that park ready for the next day, repaint everything they need to do. Next day, by the time they open up, the paint's dry, ready to go again. Talking about wowing your customers, that definitely does. So wowing your customers is about the experience too. We're all about experiences today. You go into a restaurant and you're going to pay attention to what's going on in that restaurant, aren't you? Well, I went into a restaurant the other day and underneath my table were those saltine cracker wrappers. Well, as I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, if the restaurant looks like this, what does the kitchen look like? Mm-hmm. Well, here a couple weeks ago, I took my car for a lubricant oil change and took it in, they called me when it was done, went to go pick it up, and it was spotless. They had detailed the entire thing. I don't know if they did the lubricant oil change, but they at least cleaned my car. I was thrilled. Did that wow me? Yes. Something as simple as that. So I went into a bakery. I was in Blissfield, Michigan this last fall. And the Main Street director who had hired me said, Barbara, I want you to check out this little bakery that's in town. It's brand new, new owners, and she said, they have fabulous things. I thought, okay, I'm going to go in and check it out. So I did, and I thought, well, Patty was my hostess, and I said, you know, I'm going to buy Patty a present. I'll buy her a loaf of bread for fun. And so I go in, I check out what they have, their offerings and everything. And I said to the young man behind the counter, I said, I think I'll have that loaf of rye bread. Nice big Jewish rye bread. And he says, fine. And I said, you know, could you slice it for me? And as he is slicing it, he looks at me and says, I am so glad you're buying this because I was ready to throw it out. Susie, was I afraid to give it to my hostess? Yeah, a little nervous about that. I don't make anything up, I will tell you that. And as you can see, I'm very observant. Every single year, travelers going through the airport, travelers that go through airports, basically rate the airports worldwide on the best ones for customer service. This is the list from last year. Copenhagen, Helsinki, Vancouver, British Columbia, Manchester, England, Kuala Lumpur, Perth, Amsterdam, Hong Kong, and Cincinnati. Now, how did Cincinnati get in there? Anybody know? At the Cincinnati airport, everybody is trained, from the baggage handlers to the ticket takers to the custodial staff. If a traveler has a question, to stop what they're doing, give them full attention, and walk them to their gate, the signboard, whatever else. Is that important for somebody that is not a seasoned traveler? Very, very important. Recently, in going through Cincinnati Airport, a pilot was sitting having his lunch. And an older couple came up and they asked directions. He put his napkin over his lunch so nobody would take it. And he walked them to the gate. Very important. It's just little things like that. Does it need to be large things? No. It's just little things. Insignificant things. Think about Disney. Insignificant things, but repeated perfectly over and over again. I can be on 3 planes a day to get to the next city, wherever I have to be. I don't even make eye contact with the person next to me. Here I was recently on a plane. The woman next to me was taking out her briefcase every few minutes and looking at a picture of herself. And the picture was like this. And now I'm sitting there reading, now I'm reading like this. I said, hopefully you don't think I'm rude, but I can't help but notice you look at this picture of yourself. What's it for? She said, oh, that's my picture, perfect. She said, I had that taken on a day, my hair looks just great. My makeup was perfect, and I had on a suit I love. She says, I sell pharmaceuticals. She says, there's no way I can sell anything to anybody unless I feel good about myself. She says, some mornings I get up, I don't feel that great. She says, I don't feel like going out there and pounding the pavement to make a few extra bucks. So she says, I just pull out this picture, it just kind of pumps me back up again. She says, you think this is stupid? I've worn my office desk as well as my bathroom sink. But it makes sense though, doesn't it? You've got to feel good about yourself. That's why I started out with Dear Lou. Give me your first name.
Rachel.
Rachel. Rachel, if I were to give you a piece of paper and I had you make a list of all the things, you dislike about yourself, would you have anything on that list?
Yep.
We all would, sure. Yes, we all would. But on the reverse side, if I had Rachel make a list of her greatest assets, would that list be longer?
Yes.
Yes, it would be longer. Yes, do that with your family, do it with your friends, do it with your coworkers. Find out how they feel about themselves. All right. Now I'm going to get you all involved. What is your greatest asset? I'm going to point to you, and I want you to tell me your first name and your greatest asset. Okay. Just a second. And excuse my casual shoes. I had hip replacement, knee replacement this last year. My hammer toes were the next thing. So if you came to look at my feet, you came for the wrong reason. Right? All right. Greatest asset.
I would say friendliness.
Friendliness. Important with what you do?
Yes.
Important with anything you do. Anything you do. Greatest asset.
Smile.
Hmm?
Smile.
Your smile. Yes, and what a gorgeous smile that is. Greatest asset.
Patience.
Patience. Again, very important. Steve.
I'd say patience too.
Patience. Greatest asset. Caring. Yes. Where do you work? The hospital. It's pretty good, isn't it? Yes, because you work in a place people don't want to be. Yes, so that's tough. That's tough. Yes. Greatest asset. Friendliness. Greatest asset.
Like to help people.
Like to help people. All right. No, we call it. Just look at this. Come on, I'm very approachable. Patty. Sense of humor, yes. Can you laugh at yourself? You've got to be able to. I'll tell you a funny story. My oldest granddaughter, when she was little, she's 19 now, but when she was little, we spent a lot of time together. I lived on a little island off the coast of California, the coast of Newport Beach, and she lived in Colorado, but my daughter and son-in-law traveled quite a bit, so I would babysit her. Well, we're getting ready for bed one evening, and she's watching me take off my makeup and watching me put on my face cream and everything. And my grandchild called me Baba, and she looks at me and she goes, Baba, what's that cream for? And I said, well, this is to make me beautiful. She goes, it's not working. So you've got to feel good about yourself before you can do anything. Am I making you think about anything this morning? I'm giving you all sort of variety of things. We have such a variety of people in here. I was down in New Orleans, and on Bourbon Street is the Desire Oyster Bar. And this is the front of the menu. And down at the bottom of the menu, it has the Desire Foundation Club, saluting those providing service for over 20 years because under every successful operation is a strong foundation. And it lists all of their employees that have been there for over 20 years. Now, don't you think if I were a server in that restaurant and I walked up to you and I said, good afternoon, I'm Barbara, I'm going to be your server today, and my name is right down here. Do you think that'd build my self-esteem? Of course it would. Yes, and the manager told me he has more names to add. Well, here I used this as an example last week in Seattle. And a gentleman came up to me and he said, Barbara, he said, I was just in New Orleans. He said, I passed by the Desire Oyster Bar, but I'm a very religious man, so I didn't go inside. Who knows what the Desire Oyster Bar stands for? The streetcar named Desire. That's the streetcar that goes through the Garden District of New Orleans. So nothing to do with anything else. It is so interesting, all the different types of people that I meet. I was doing a program in Singapore, and this was for, it was for a conference on branding. And Singaporeans are very concerned with branding, and my portion of the program was the face behind the brand. So I was doing a program about all the people that need to build the brand that they're responsible for. And so I thought, well, you know, they always want to know about American companies. And I thought, who can I use? And I thought, the Container Store. Now, I know there's not a Container Store here in Montana. I don't even think
Not yet.
Not yet. Well, they're less than 200, Linda, nationwide, less than 200. Let me tell you what it is. It's a store that helps you organize your life. Organize your closet, your kitchen, your office, and their tagline is, contain yourself. All right. So I was in Dallas, and I was visiting one of the stores. I thought, that's going to be a perfect example. It's a small company. They're not even going to know it probably in Singapore, so it's great. And their staff, if you were to go up to one of their staff and say, where can I find this? They're not going to tell you, oh, I don't know, let me find someone to help you. They know. So you're at the cash register for 1 hour, then you're in the closetry department for an hour. Then you may be carrying packages out for customers for an hour. Then you may be a floater for an hour. That's how it works. So basically, they're involved in every aspect of the store. And so I'm standing there and watching this young lady, and she's literally fluttering around the store, fluttering. So I walked up to her and introduced myself. I told her why I was there. And I said, now tell me. I said, you are this excited and working at the Container Store? She goes, yes, I am. She said, I love the Container Store. She says, you know what? Everything they say in the brochures is true. She said, I'm a living, walking, talking ad for the Container Store. She said, I could be Tony the Tiger for Kellogg's. I could be Ronald McDonald for McDonald's. She said, I am the Container Store. I am the brand. I thought, wow. If everybody had an employee like that, wouldn't they be dangerous in the marketplace? Yes. So you're all building your brand. Somebody approaches you in Southgate. Aren't you Southgate? Yes. You're checking out at the market and they ask you where you work. You say Southgate Mall. You are a representative of the mall. Any one of you. So you have to think about that today. You're all a representative for Missoula, aren't you? Aren't you all Goodwill ambassadors for Missoula? Of course you are. Of course you are. If I wanted to find something in Missoula, and I walked up to you, because you're security, so you're kind of like the trash picker-upper, you know, I know you're going to have the answers. You need to know every service, every business that is offered. When I work with downtown partnerships or main streets or cities, one thing that we do, we'll get out chalkboards or flip charts or whatever, and we'll start making a list of all the services that are offered in the downtown core. It is amazing. I want you all now to think of a downtown service that is offered. Okay. Give me something that's offered downtown. You see, you're supposed to think about it ahead of time. That's why I give you a warning. You can't think of anything.
Come on, Trent.
Copy.
Well, what are you interested
So,
in?
okay, like service, you mean just like the
Service.
farmer's market, or you mean
Yeah,
like,
perfect.
Okay,
Farmer's market. Perfect. All right. Give me something I can find in downtown, either a surface or a product. I'm sorry, Linda, I shouldn't have asked that question.
I'll tell you everything you want to know about that. Great fit for running a show.
You never go downtown?
Very rarely.
Okay. Give me a service at downtown. Bookstores, all right. I can find a bookstore downtown. What about you, Susie?
Me, Susie?
Yeah, you,
Surely
Susie.
another Susie in here.
Oh, there's another Susie.
Well, I was thinking not just downtown, but everywhere. Someone asked me something, one of the best things I think about the world are the light boxes. Signal boxes. The,
Oh, they want
Light
to box.
Oh, original art,
from the light box.
okay.
At every stop light, you can look and see one.
Oh, all right, and attention.
Yes, you need to take off your light.
Yeah, All right. Something is on for downtown.
Bars.
Huh? The bars, okay. All right.
Local brewery.
Local breweries. This is obviously the drinking table. Restaurants.
Carousel.
Carousel. All right. You need to know everything that is available here. Do you ever get tourists? I hope so. When I was in Great Falls, I gave them the example of, in a couple of weeks I'll be working with Hot Springs, Arkansas. Hot Springs, Arkansas is the only urban national park in the nation. And it's an urban national park because of Bathhouse Road. They get 6.7 million visitors a year. They leave behind $600 million. All right. You are an ambassador from Missoula. Somebody looks lost, you walk up to them and say, I live here in Missoula, can I direct you, send you in the right direction? Would that wow them? Yes. Yes. Take the time to stop. When I worked with Southgate Mall and all the shopping centers nationwide, that was one thing that I would tell the employees of the shopping center. Either the employees of the shopping center or any of the stores in the shopping center. You see somebody walking through the mall, the directory's not right there. Stop and give them directions. Take the time. This gentleman here said patience. Well, I tell you, there's two different kinds of patience. Yes, it's being patient with somebody that needs help today. So taking the time to do that. Talk about perception for restaurants. And you talked about restaurant. I was in Burbank, California, and I was asked by the city council if I would have dinner with them. And they said, meet us at Giorgio's. And fine, Giorgio's was on the main drag, an Italian restaurant. And I was to meet them there at 5 o'clock. I walk up, there's a chain across. There's like a little gate in the area with a chain across. Patio has leaves all over it, a couple little tables and chairs. And I thought, well, this restaurant's been closed for quite a while, and hopefully I'm gonna have the right restaurant. 5 o'clock comes, the chain is let down, and customers are able to go in. Well, the food was lovely. They prepared a special meal for us. But the next day, I was introduced by George Peterson. And George Peterson owns Giorgio's. And I said, George, may I talk to you for a second? And I said, last night when I walked up to your restaurant about 4:45, you had a chain across. He goes, oh yeah, because we're closed until 5. And I said, he said, we're open for lunch too. And I said, why not have the sign man put a little sign, make a sign to hang on your chain if you love that chain. We reopen for dinner at 5, so customers know. He said, what a great idea. He said, I never thought about that. I always come in the back door. You know, so it's taking, you know, being observant and taking off your blinders from your own business. What type of business were you with?
The Holiday Inn.
Oh, the Holiday Inn, okay. And what is your responsibility with the Holiday Inn?
I'm the overnight manager.
Okay, perfect. You're getting excited about everything I'm saying.
You are a wonderful teacher. I just am enthralled with your method.
I love what I do, absolutely love what I do. And you can tell I pick up stuff everywhere. Pick up stuff everywhere. Last June, I was on Nantucket Island, and I had flown into Boston the day before. I spent the night in Boston and taken one of those little 8-passenger planes over to Nantucket. And get there, it's about 2:30 in the afternoon, and a lot of the restaurants closed and aren't open all afternoon long. So I was staying at a bed and breakfast, and I asked Lisa, the innkeeper, I said, what's open this afternoon? I haven't had lunch. She goes, oh, I don't know. I just moved here, she said, from Tampa. I've only been here for 3 days. And she says, my luggage is still strapped to the car. And she said, I had been with Merrill Lynch in Tampa. And she said, when B of A took over Merrill Lynch, she said, it just isn't the same. So I decided, I want to do something more fun, so I'm going to be an innkeeper. And I've been looking for 2 years and found this. And I said, well, I asked the cab driver then where I should eat. And the cab driver said, go to Nick's. He said, you'll love the food. And it's a bar-type food. And I had a lobster roll. And then I went to go pay my tab. And the lens fell out of my glasses. And I thought, oh my gosh. And usually I carry another pair with me, and I knew I had not packed another pair. So I asked my waiter, I said, do you have any Scotch tape or anything? He gives me a piece of Scotch tape this long. I think, what am I supposed to do with this? The manager comes over then, James Agnew, and he said, Barbara, I recognize your picture. He says, I'm going to be at your meeting tomorrow morning. And he said, what happened? And I said, that I broke my frame somehow, and the lens just fell out. He said, you know what, no problem. He said, Steve, he said, will you run down to the little drugstore and grab some crazy glue for Miss Wold? Will I eat anywhere else when I go back there this June? No. I'm going to Nick's. Yep. Are you going to start noticing things now?
Yeah.
How you're treated? Yes. Checked into a hotel the other night. Not in Great Falls. And a woman at the front desk, she could feel my presence. She was doing some sort of paperwork, didn't say anything to me for a while. And then she looked up and she goes, yep, did you want something? I said, I'm just checking in. And I said, should I bother complaining to the night manager? Night manager's name is on the wall. What do you think her bag said? Manager. I told you I don't make this stuff up. I was down in Texas. Down in Texas, and their major grocery chain is H-E-B. And I was in an H-E-B store buying a couple things for my hotel room. And there was a man restocking shelves in the middle of the aisle, and a woman walks up and she says, do you work here? Well, we've all said that to somebody. And he turns around and stands up and points to his badge and goes, duh. And it says manager. Are you ladies familiar with Chico's? Is there a Chico's in Southgate? All right. Chico's is very, very good about finding out who their customer is. That's the key today. They want to know who their customer is. Their customer is a woman, probably 50 plus years in age. It's probably, you know, somebody from not an affluent family, but from a, you know, upper middle class family. And what they do before they're going to go into a new market, they go into town and they observe the women walking around town, and they ask them. They said, may I give you $1,500 if I can sit in the back seat of your car on Saturday when you run your errands? I'll have my laptop with me and a tablet and pencil and watch your shopping pattern. What would you say? Yes, and we call this market shop. And because I want to see what all Patty's doing, how she shops, does she go to the bank first, does she go maybe to the drugstore, maybe meet a friend for lunch, what all she does. Yes, that's how they do their homework and get to know their customers. Famous Amos. Who in here loves Famous Amos cookies? Oh, a few people. Usually nobody raises their hand. Famous Amos is very smart, though. My first trip to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, I went over to Suria KLCC, which is the largest shopping center in Malaysia. It is a vertical center. It's 7 stories tall. 500 stores, And I'm sitting down looking at the directory. We had everything from the drugstore to Tiffany jewelry, everything in between. You know, the main floors have the finer things on it, the basement levels are the fast food, the drugstore, things like that. And reflexology, I was going to Annie, get reflexology when I'm there. But I'm looking at the directory, and there are 7 famous Amos cookie stores. I'm going, Malaysians like famous Amos cookies this much? And then I realized, famous Amos is very smart because he got to know the Malaysian culture. They love fancy packaging. And so they may be buying just a little tin of cookies, but what's actually exciting them, what are they paying for? The cellophane, the streamers, the balloons. That's what they're paying for. Yes. So you've got to get to know your customers and take the time to get to know them. What I love to do with some groups is get to know and hear about their satisfactory and unsatisfactory experiences. All right, I'm going to give you one. I was up in Canada, and the shopping center manager said, Barbara, I go to Taco Time every Friday. She said, I know it's a little fattening, but I go. And that's kind of my treat for the week. And I bring it back and eat it at my desk. She said, but you know, every time I go and I order a taco salad, get it in a bag, come back to my desk, and it's always missing the fork. Always. She said, I thought, okay, I'm going to give them one more chance. And that's it. Went to Taco Time, ordered a taco salad, went to go leave. I wanted to look at my bag so badly to see if the fork was there, but I thought, nope, I'm not going to do it. I trust they did it right. Get back to my office, no fork. So I called and spoke with the manager of Taco Time. I told her the situation. She said to me, you think you'd know by now to look in your bag before you leave. I was in Nashua, New Hampshire, and I was working with the mall, and I had a young lady tell me, she said, Barbara, I work at the Hallmark store. She said, last Sunday, I was so exhausted, I had worked 6 days in a row, and I wasn't about to make dinner for my family. I was going to go buy something at the market, already prepared. So she said, I went to my market, stood in line at the deli section. There were people cleaning up the prep area behind. She said, nobody ever turned around and looked at me. She said it was about 10 after 5. And then finally one of the ladies behind the counter turned around and said to me, may I ask you what you do for a living? She goes, well, yes, I work at the Hallmark store in the mall. Why? She goes, couldn't you have planned your week a little better so you didn't arrive at my deli counter at 10 after 5 knowing we closed at 5:30? I don't make it up. All right. Can anybody tell me an unsatisfactory experience they've had?
One do you want?
Do you have,
Oh, there's plenty, and truthfully, an unsatisfactory
speak up real loud
experience.
because we're being filmed.
An unsatisfactory experience doesn't necessarily just be between, you know, or go to your customer. It could be from your customer to you as well, because it can cause you to be unsatisfactory. But I mean, I'm sure everyone in here at some point has eaten at a restaurant where the server is just kind of, come over, what can I get you? Takes the order, something's off, and you feel obligated to leave, you know, a tip. So maybe you don't leave 15%, and on your way out, you hear them going, I can't believe they didn't even tip properly. When all you didn't even get conversation, you didn't get anything, and they didn't even get the order right.
Give you a great example. That is one because that happens all the time. Since I speak at meetings, I get meeting planner magazines, and every single one of them has said, you've got to hold your meeting at the Fullerton Hotel in Singapore. All the travel magazines I get said, you've got to go stay at the Fullerton Hotel, it's fabulous. Well, the Fullerton Hotel is right at the mouth of the Singapore River. It is the old British colonial postal building with the big white columns, absolutely beautiful. Well, I got all dressed up. It was one of my last nights on this particular trip. Got all dressed up, went over, walked the grounds, absolutely beautiful grounds. Sat down to have a cocktail before dinner. Absolutely amazing. The young lady was able to take my order, deliver some nuts, present me with the bill, take my credit card, run it through the machine, bring it back for my signature, all with one word. And the word was, yes. What happened to my expectations? Did I stay for dinner? No, I went back to the hotel I was staying at. Wasn't quite as fancy, but the service was impeccable. And that's the key. Anybody else have an unsatisfactory experience?
I have a question for you.
Yes, of course.
So it's not maybe unsatisfactory, but what do you feel about no problem?
Ah, my favorite, my favorite. Instead of saying it is my pleasure,
Yeah.
they say
No.
no problem. And I say to myself in my head, it should not be a problem, is exactly what I say. You know, I just use that example. Last week when I was in Seattle, same thing. Right, it happens. It doesn't make any difference what type of business, does it? No, it should not be a problem. And I was speaking for the New York visitors, the New York Tourism Convention, and we were in Niagara Falls. And at this convention, I was still on a cane because I just had my surgery. And so the van pulled up to the hotel, and I just go to get out, and the young man, the bellman, comes with his cart, his brass cart, and everything. I expect him to say, "May I help you with your luggage?" And I'm going to say, "No, I'll try and manage myself. It's all on wheels." Okay. Instead, he comes up to me and he said, "May I make your life easier today?" And I thought, what a difference. Just that little change of words, what a difference that was. Charleston, South Carolina, they were doing basically a partnership between all the hotels in the historic district with the same training for everybody, for all the hotels, every department of each hotel, so that the customers would experience the same wherever they went, the same type of service. And so when I was there working with them, they put me up at the Vendu Inn. The Vendu Inn is on Vendu Range right by the Pineapple Fountain in historic Charleston. And went up to the front desk to check in, and the young man said, "Miss Wold, I'm so sorry, but your room is not ready yet." And I said, "That's fine." I said, "You know what, I'm going to go grab a bite to eat. I haven't had lunch yet." He said, "Please come join us in our restaurant. Our fare is lovely." And I said, "Well, I'm going to run down the corner, grab a USA Today. I'll be right back." He said, "No. You sit, I'll go grab you the paper." So I'm sitting there, enjoying my meal, ready to pay my tab. And I could feel a gentleman walk up and stand behind me. And he said, "Miss Wold," he said, "I have your things in your room." He goes, "My name is Ed." He said, "In fact, you're in my favorite room. And every room is appointed with antiques and done a little differently." And he said, "Please come, let me show you." And so he's doing the drapes, he's filling the ice bucket, he's filling the bathtub for me. I mean, he's literally running around the room. He's in his 80s. And I said, "Ed," "you get this excited when somebody comes to stay?" He goes, "Yes, I do." He said, "I love it when we have new guests." And I said, "How long have you been working here?" He goes, "Ever since I was a young man. I was 11 years old." And I thought, wow. Now, when I'm back in Charleston, whether I'm staying at the Vendu Inn or not, I go by and see Ed. He remembers my name, what room I was in, my grandchildren's names. He always has pictures of his great-grandchildren to show me. How many of you go back to a hotel and visit the bellman that once helped you with your luggage? Maybe I need to get a life, right? He made such an impression upon me, though. That's what you need to do. That's what everybody working in this hotel needs to do, correct? Yes, everybody. Everybody. My neighbor, for her husband's birthday in February, wanted to buy 2 Tommy Bahama shirts for her husband. So she said, Barbara, she said, I knew you'd like this story. She says, I ordered them online, and I expected them to come in a week. No big deal. She said within 10 minutes, I got an email letting me know my little bit of heaven would be on its way soon. She said, half an hour later, I got another email saying, my little bit of heaven has been sent and is on its way. And she said, 3 days later, I expected a brown box on my front porch. She goes, yes, I did get a brown box on my front porch, but it had cargo stickers all over it, like it had come from a faraway island. And she said, I opened it up, and every shirt was wrapped in tissue paper with a little string. And she said, the presentation, even the receipt was tucked in a little nautical envelope. She said, I will never forget that experience. So it's things like that. Where most experiences, you make a purchase. Say you make a purchase at a brick and mortar location. What do? They throw it in a bag, plastic bag that says thank you in red on the side. No. It's taking the time to make the customer feel special. Has anybody, any business made you feel special recently? Your coffee shop every single day. They know you, they recognize you, and they make you feel good about going in there. Yes. Has anybody else been made you feel special lately?
Yeah, Taco del Sol. Honestly, every time you go in there, it doesn't matter who's working. They're always really kind of, happy to see you. It doesn't matter what your order is, what changes you want to make to it. And I mean, they make the burrito right in front of you, or whatever you're going to get.
Right.
But it doesn't matter what changes you want to make to it, what you want to add, what you don't. They're always willing to take and just do it. They're always happy. They're always talking with you as you're doing it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it goes through 2 or 3 people. It's like the conversation keeps going. It's like you're talking to one person the whole time.
Can you train somebody to do that?
Not really. I mean, it's kind of a...
It has to come from the heart. It really does. Yeah. And they feel good about themselves. Again, why do you think I started out with the story about Dear Lou? It all stems on how you feel about yourself. It doesn't make any difference what kind of job any of you have. Is there anybody in here that doesn't have any problems? We all have problems. But when you walk through the doors of your business, your hotel, whatever it might be, dump those problems in the bucket by the door, and when you leave at night, if you want to take them home with you, go ahead. But everybody has problems. Don't let it affect the way you do your business. You've got to enjoy yourself. Can you tell I enjoy what I do? Yes, love it. Absolutely love it. Love the travel, love the people I meet. And with the shopping center industry, when I worked so heavily with them, I saw every single big city. I've been to every big city, every middle-sized city. But now with downtowns and main streets, I get to go to the smaller places, which I love, absolutely love, and feel the culture of that area. I have right here, no problem. No right here, because I knew somebody would bring that up. All right. I was going to work in Atlanta with the Lexus car dealership. And the gentleman heard me speak at a conference, and he said, Barbara, I want you to come and talk to my people. He said, not to train my people how to sell Lexus cars, but to soften the approach for women. Because it used to be only men bought cars, right? Is it that way any longer? No, not at all. No. And so he said, I want you to come and soften the approach. And so he said, would you send me a proposal? So I emailed him over a proposal, and he called me back and he said, oh, this is a little more than I wanted to pay. He said, what if I bring you in to train my people, and then I lose some of those salesmen to another dealership? I said, worse yet, what if you don't train them and they stay? Well, you look at how many businesses don't train their people. Nordstrom's one. Did you know that? They don't train their sales staff. But they have excellent customer service. Because what they tell them is, we don't need to train you, your parents trained you. But that's not the way with every organization at all. That's an exception to the rule. You got to think about also the experience you're going to have in a business. If I go into, do you know, is Forever 21 in Southgate? No. What do you have that's a teen store?
There's several.
What? Aeropostale? Okay. We use Aeropostale as an example. All right, so my teenage granddaughter goes into Aeropostale. What kind of service does she want?
Is it teenager?
She's a teenager. She's 19.
Oh, yeah, she definitely doesn't want to talk.
She what?
She doesn't want to talk.
She doesn't want to be talked to. Does she want to be looked upon as a viable customer, though?
Yes.
Yes. She doesn't want to be followed like she's going to steal something. Yes, she wants to feel like she's a viable customer. She has money to spend, and these kids have more discretionary income than some of us, right? Yes. All right. Now we've got my daughter and my granddaughter going in together. Now what do we want in the way of service?
Excellent customer service.
Hmm?
Excellent customer service.
Excellent customer service, but what else do we need?
Need somebody talking to mom.
You need somebody talking to mom. You need maybe a referee.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. All right, now I go into Aeropostale to look for something for my granddaughter. What do I want in the way of service? Hmm? I want to be reassured it's okay for my granddaughter to wear these skimpy pieces of clothing. That's what I want. And I would want to be let know of the return exchange policy, because obviously she's not going to like it, whatever I pick out. Yes, so there are different age groups you need to think about. What about kids? Are kids your customer?
Yes.
Okay. All right. When you look at after September 11th, things have changed. People are more family-oriented. Shopping centers have more family events. Downtowns have more family events. The hotel industry, catering to kids. Yes. So things have completely changed because everyone's traveling together. When I worked with Disney in November, one of the programs that I did for them, this was for their earmarked conference. And what it was 600 travel agents that basically specialized in Disney products, selling Disney products. Not only trips to Disneyland, but then also too, they do family travels now and multi-generational traveling, such as a week in Wyoming, a week in Vietnam, a week in Hawaii. They're doing all sorts of trips like that for families. So things have really changed. So it's paying attention to the age group that you're catering to. So after September 11th, as I said, it's children. People are traveling with their children, they're taking their children places with them, and they realize how special and important their family is. In a Westin, this is in a Westin on the desk. Now what would you think this is?
Card for a kid.
Hmm?
A card for a kid.
A card for a kid. I thought it was a room service menu for kids. I opened it up. Stories. Tells you the name of the story, the age it's appropriate for, what extension, what language it's in. The little boy with 7 names. Now, wouldn't you want to listen to that one? I listened to the Sad Shoelaces. This is the Westin. This is Starwood. They realized how important it was. Don't you remember when the hotels were doing all the SpongeBob SquarePants things? Yes. They kind of stopped, unfortunately, but that was the big thing. That was their focus because they realized how many people were traveling with their children. This is an article about Home Depot. All the classes that they're giving for children. So that they're there, the children are in a class. What happens to the father then? Huh?
He's shopping.
He's shopping, you got it. He's the one shopping then. So it makes sense, doesn't it? Yes. This is from a Singaporean newspaper, Generation Y. How Generation Y wants to be treated, how they want to be marketed to, what kind of experiences they want. There's Generation Y, Generation X, Generation D. Generation D is the digital generation. Digital generation has grown up with computers their entire life. Who in here is the digital generation? Are you? No? Anybody here the digital generation?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, aren't you?
My 13-year-old is.
Well, yeah, I mean, it should go up to about 35.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not Montana where we had the time.
maybe you just didn't have one in your home. The Westin Hotel has come up with a product just for Generational D. If I go to a city like Boston, I want to go to the Copley Plaza, sit down in the old dark bar, and have a glass of lovely wine. Yes, Generation D, they want the funky bars with the blue martinis and the instant internet, right? Yes. What is the name of the chain that the Westin Hotel created for Generation D? W. The W hotels. You gotta pay attention to this, to the hotel industry. How long have you been with the Holiday Inn? Year and a half, okay, well, you've got time then. Poor Patty, I don't mean to pick on you, because I don't pick on anybody. Except you, no. Well, you know what, and I'm very approachable. You know, I mean, you know, with so many speakers I go and listen to, they'll stand in the front before they even start. You know, they'll wonder, I want to wonder, I want to know who's in here. Yes, and I've always felt I'm very approachable. All right, here's an article, USA Today. Hotel programs target teenagers. I won't even look at you, don't worry. All right, why would they target teenagers? Hotel programs target teenagers.
It's not developed market.
Hmm?
It's not developed market.
Undeveloped market.
They're the next generation of consumers.
You got it, the next generation of consumers. Yep, that's it. And in fact, many hotel chains have a board of directors of teenagers to find out what they want. What do they want? More plugs in the room. I'll tell you, if I have to go to a hotel ever again where I have to crawl under the desk to plug in my computer, yes. Finally, every hotel now has a lamp on the desk that has plugs in it. Finally. When I was up in Niagara Falls, where Javon was, who was the one that said, "May I make your life easier today?" There was a ball of white cords under the desk. I mean, white, so I mean, just stood out. And I'm thinking, couldn't they have tucked it behind the refrigerator or something in the room so you didn't have to see it? Yes. I mean, I am so upset in some of the hotel rooms I go into. Some I just love. And some I'm thinking, who actually, you know, thought about this? Did anybody? The Hyatt Hotel in Seattle, where I was last week with the tourism industry, with the tourist, the travel agents, I said to the ladies in the room, I said, did any of you have a hard time arranging your hair in the bathroom? And they said, oh, it was awful. There was one light bulb that was right on top of your head, and that was it. You know, who thinks about these things? I guess a man designed the room, right? I don't know, I guess so. But when you think about the hotel industry, you learn so much from the hotel industry. I've often thought, you know, I travel a lot. I'm in every single hotel club. Why don't the hotels do some sort of an evening cocktail hour where they invite, they can look at the director who's checked in, how many of their loyal customers they have in the hotel that night, and invite them then to a little cocktail, just to sit in the bar, sit at a table with them, just to ask questions. Because I'll go into a hotel, I go to sit down on the office chair. I try and bring it up as far as it'll go. And I sit down at the desk to work on my computer, and the chair's down here, and I'm typing like this now. I was in a hotel, a lovely hotel in Miami recently. There was a down comforter on the bed. It never gets below 90 degrees in Miami. I was in Los Angeles, gorgeous hotel right outside of LAX, and I stood in the shower and looked at the computerized controls and studied them for 15 minutes. Couldn't figure it out. Ended up taking a sponge bath. You know, just little things like this. All right. As I said, the family first generation. This is what we're interested in today. What about also gender? Okay. Is there a Victoria's Secret?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Then you're up for the Victoria's Secret. You go into Victoria's Secret. You want space to look around, correct? Yes. You feel comfortable in the store. Somebody comes up, introduces himself, you know, when do you need some help? If you need some help, just let me know, I'm going to give you some time. You go into Victoria's Secret. Are you comfortable? No. No. So they approach you immediately. They want to know how they can help you get what you need, and get out of there as fast as possible. You probably don't feel comfortable standing next to the rounders and bras and everything, right? Well, maybe he does, I don't know. So it's gender as well you need to think about. What about alpha moms? You know what an alpha mom is? Alpha mom is a high-powered mother, powerful mother. She has a great job, she's got an iPhone, she may have a kid on one hip, she's a soccer mom. What does she want from you? She wants you to make her life as easy as possible. That's what she wants. Yeah. You're all familiar, does your drugstore here have a drive-through so you can pick up your prescriptions? Okay. You know how that started? It was a mistake. It wasn't planned. CVS bought 3 existing ice cream stores in Missouri years ago, and they all had drive-through windows. And they thought, well, you know, we can work around that. And then they realized how difficult it is for mothers to get their kids in and out of car seats. And they thought, you know what, let's put this in every one of our stores that we can. So things happen like that. What about empty nesters? How do they want to be treated? They want to be catered to. Are they saving their money for their kids any longer? No, they're not. Just interviewed a couple, Pam and Mark. Pam said, Barbara, I'm 52, but I'm not my mother's 52. She said, I'm not going through the second half of my life. I'm the first chapter in a brand new book. And they had just bought 2 brand new BMW motorcycles and all the gear to go with them. They weren't saving for their kids any longer at all. Then you've got seniors. How do seniors want to be treated? Huh? They want somebody to treat them special, and they want patience, don't they? Yes, they want patience. And you look at it as the population gets older, you know, and seniors are certainly completely different. My grandmother was very sedentary, both my grandmothers. Neither one of my grandmothers ever drove, you know, so I mean, it shows you that era. When you look at today, you know, the mobility of seniors, you know, they want to get around. This is from a Singaporean newspaper. It was a hey, big spender. The culture in Asia is that you don't spend money on yourself. This used to be the culture. You save everything for your children. You want their life to be better than yours ever was. Is it that way any longer? No. Years ago, when I started traveling to Asia, I'd pick up a fashion magazine, and it would be fashion. Now I pick up a fashion magazine. It's liposuction, it's teeth whitening, it's all of that. It's travel. Yes, seniors are traveling today. have you noticed about age groups and how they want to be treated? Anybody? Yes.
I used to work for years in the fast food industry, and we get to cater for the youngest children because they really want to be treated like adults as much as possible.
He said we worked in the fast food industry, and the little kids wanted to be catered to. They wanted to feel like adults. Yes. Just as like I said, my teenage granddaughter wants to be looked at as a viable customer. Yes, that's so very important because that builds your self-esteem. When I go over to Asia, if I'm in Singapore and I'm shopping, does anybody ever talk to me when I walk into a store? Do they follow me? They walk right behind me. Don't say a thing. They watch every move I make. Well, does that make me feel comfortable? No, not at all. Not at all. I'm used to it now. Not at all. You want to do like a little dance or something, you know? No, but that's the way they're trained. Singapore Airlines. Singapore Airlines, I had the opportunity of sitting in on one of their classes at the Singapore Airline University. And it was a wonderful day I spent there. And they're all young people that work on the airplanes, the stewards and stewardesses. But their culture is that they're shy. They're shy. So, you know, people would get on the plane and they wouldn't say anything to the customers at all. Yes, don't you like when you get on the plane and the pilot comes down and says hello to you? Yes. But they're shy. So at the Singapore Airline University, they're trained with 7 opening lines. So they can walk up to the first row with opening line number 1, opening line number 2, opening line number 3, and so on. By the time they get to the 8th person, they can't hear what I said to Susie up here. So, but it gives them the confidence. Gives them the confidence. And so many businesses that I work with, I suggest that when they do their staff meetings, to do the same thing. Have their staff members come up with 3 opening lines that are suited to them. How many times have you walked into a business and you hear the same thing? Every customer walking in gets the same greeting. Yeah. You've got to mix it up, make it a little bit different. But you've got to have confidence in yourself, and you have to use your personality. Nobody can train you to do that. Who in here does not like people? It's a good thing no hands went up, right? That'd be pretty scary, wouldn't it? I mean, some days. No, that happens all the time. When I had my 2 surgeries, every one of the nurses was fabulous except for one. You know, you could tell she didn't want to be there. And so when they came in to check me out, and it was one of the supervisors from the hospital, she asked me that. She goes, do you remember any one of the nurses that didn't treat you correctly? And I said, yes, because they want to know. Yeah, they want to know. Yes. And then I get a customer response form in the mail afterwards. 500 questions on it. You know, who's going to take the time to do that? No. I mean, I fly Delta the majority of the time if I can, because I've got so many million miles with them. But last week, all right, I got 2 surveys after I'd flown to Seattle and flown back to Denver. All right, I had one this morning on my computer when I flew to Great Falls, how my trip was, and would you fly Delta? What would bring you back to Delta again? That's all I need to ask. It was a 15-minute commitment. Did I fill it out? No, delete. You know, I don't have time for that. I don't even read magazines really anymore at all. I read everything on the internet. But I got a thing in the mail for 10 People magazines for $10. That's a good deal. If I'm on a plane late at night reading, I'm not going to read any business stuff. I want to know what the Kardashians are doing that week. That's for sure. I was with my granddaughter recently, and she turned on, was Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I thought, how can people watch that crap? I know. I am not. They need to get a life, right? That's for sure. So I ordered it. I ordered People magazine, $10, big deal. Before I even got the confirmation of my order via email, I got a survey to fill out. How was my experience? My experience is pushing one button on the internet. I mean, yeah, you need to sit down with people and talk to people. And in the next segment, that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to give some great examples. Anybody staying for the next segment? Okay. You're all good. Good. And then there's one this afternoon, a repeat basis of the same information. This one, somebody else, are you to send somebody? Okay. And then the luncheon tomorrow, which Linda had mentioned. So you've got ages now to think about. You've got gender, you have ages. All depends on how you feel. When you get up in the morning, you've got to feel good about yourself, and you're the only one that can do it. And how are you going to do that? What else do you need to think about when it comes to wowing your customer?
Quiet group this morning, huh?
You know what? It's quieter in Great Falls, the first session I did, because the room was 90 degrees. People were sitting there like this. I was afraid I was going to fall over. And they had paid to have the air conditioning on in the convention center. But then they turned it on for the next session after me, and then you were freezing. So, you know, it's either one or the other. It's never both. Never both.
Your product.
You've got to be proud of your product. Yes. And does it make any difference what it is? What is your product?
Our product is serving the public.
Serving the public, and your product is Southgate Mall, and your product is security, feeling safe. You know, we all want to feel safe today. There's so much going on in the world. It's the ability to feel safe. Yes, and when they see you, they know that somebody is there. Yes, so that's very, very important. What else? Okay, what about on this side?
What you can offer? What you can offer?
What you can offer. You have to know what you can offer. Yes. And what you have available. Take it back to the Container Store. They know every aspect of that store. In Kansas City, also Ybor City in Florida, which is right outside of Tampa. That's where the Cuban cigar makers came in 1900. They have an ambassador program, and what they do is they invite their taxi cab drivers every other Thursday for lunch. They buy them lunch. Yep. They have 2 sittings. Buy them lunch. Why do they do that? Because they let them know what is going on in Kansas City, what's going on for the next 2 weeks, what conferences are in town, what new restaurants have opened up, and so on. Is that important? Yes. When I think of how many cities I go to, and I'll ask, such as I did in Great Falls. I have never been to Great Falls before. So the shuttle driver that took me to the hotel, I said, okay, this is my first time to Great Falls. Tell me about Great Falls. His response to me was, I like to fish. That was his response to me. You know, and I couldn't get any other information. It's like pulling teeth. You know, where I think about back to where I visited Boise, Idaho for the first time years ago, and I said to the shuttle driver, I stayed at the Hampton Inn, I said to the shuttle driver, I said, you know, I've never been to Boise before. Tell me about Boise. He goes, where do I start? And he couldn't wait to tell me. Where I think about if I have a rental car and I stop at a gas station in a little town, and I'll say to the gas station attendant, you know, what should I see when I'm here? Everybody's leaving, there's nothing to do in town. That's what I hear. So when you think about it, you're goodwill ambassadors for Missoula. Every single one of you. Goodwill ambassadors. I was in Columbus, Mississippi, and I was there working with the city for a week, their downtown association as well, and their economic development council. And what I did was I did a program at the beginning of the week in the Mississippi Women's College auditorium, which is a gorgeous campus. And then every single day for 5 days, I sat down with 5 to 7 businesses. Everything from the hotels to the shopping center, to the restaurants, to the credit union, to the liquor store. There's another point to over here. Sat down with them and discussed their business with them. And what these people had done, and they had put in my hotel room in order to get a meeting with me, a package of information about their business, how long they've been in business, what they're doing marketing-wise, and so on. And then I sat down with them. Well, one business I went to was Bella, which was interior design, lovely, gorgeous, luxury gift store. Then also to a design service. They did upholstered furniture, they sold flooring, they sold draperies, everything. Well, I found a little thing in their gift store for my granddaughter. So I went up to pay for it. And as I'm paying for it, she said, Barbara, let me put your information in the computer and put it in our system. So, that took about 5, 6, 7 minutes before she would rung me up. Now, I'm standing at the counter, which is the most valuable spot in her business, is on the back wall, behind this counter. There's a mirror. So I'm standing there for 6 or 7 minutes just looking at myself. Where instead what she should have had was the sign man come in and paint on the wall, and they can do that acrylic lettering now and everything, Bella's, and then in bullet type form what the services are. You need to know what your services are, right? It's exactly what you just said. So anytime you go into a business now, look around. You taking off those blinders? Yes. Be aware. Collect things. I have a good time doing it. I do. I absolutely love it. So the services offered, weekend trips. Sunset Magazine has weekend trips. They have, just road trips. One page in Sunset Magazine, and it's a local road trip. So they're going to tell you somewhere to visit in Wyoming, somewhere to visit in Montana, just for the weekend. It's fabulous. They may say Missoula. So they're going to outline the hot things to see in Missoula. And bring people who want to see what's in their own backyard, especially now since September 11th. So you're going to have visitors. And visitors normally come during the summertime here?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. So you've got to be ready for them. When I go back to Nantucket this June, I go in, do a seminar right before their summer season, before their summer guests come. Because they want to make sure that every single business is up to par, every single business knows what's going on on Nantucket Island, and the service is consistent. The hours are consistent. And you want to have fun with your customers. Just have a good time with them. Make things, don't you have more fun shopping if you're shopping with somebody fun, you're having interaction with somebody fun? Yes. Have a good time with them. Don't be stiff. Here's one from a Sheraton Hotel, the little cocktail napkin. Let's spend the night together. Cute. Took them a while to get it, Linda.
They're waking up.
You're waking up now. No. A play on words. Fun. From the Hard Rock Hotel in Las Vegas. I can hear you knocking, but you can't come in. I get gifts from clients. And it's always lovely. In fact, I had a lovely gift up in my room last night when I checked in. But this was a gift that I received at a convention I was at that I did not expect. I've never gotten anything like this before. I was speaking for the Travel Goods Convention in Las Vegas. And a gentleman came up and introduced himself to me. He said, Barbara, I'm Jim. He said, I'm the CEO of Ex Officio, which is clothing like this that you can travel in, wash it out in your hotel room sink, hang it up, and it's dry in 20 minutes. He said, I want to give you a present. He said, you made a point of saying have fun with your customers. He said, we do. He said, I want to give you a pair of underwear. A pair of underwear? Now, I've never had a client do that before. On the front it says, 17 countries, 6 weeks, and 1 pair of underwear. I was working with Rosmiel. Rosanyal sells downhill ski equipment, cross-country, and snowboard. Well, for anybody buying downhill, they're interested in the boots, the bindings, the technology. Same thing for cross-country, the boots, the bindings, the technology. That snowboarding dude, is that what he's interested in? It's how cool he's going to look out there on the slopes. That's all he cares about. All right, so this was a few years ago when Rosanyal came out with their soft boots so you could actually bend. And this is their marketing piece. Your feet will kiss your ass. Thank you very, very much.